And then, or let's see what his takeaway is. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey friends, welcome back to Bible Fun with the Duns. We're back together. It's been a while. Today we read 2 Kings chapter 9, and if you watched yesterday, my long spiel at the end, in which one of my kids said, I thought that would never end. So that made me feel really good about what I'm putting out there. But
it's like when they sit next to us and they start yawning. I'm like, oh.
On video, we have it captured.
Love it.
Forever. But the stuff I was sharing, and now I can say it in a short way, and I probably should have said it that way yesterday, but it was setting us up to understand just what a problem Ahab's family is. What we're seeing right now as we pick up is his family is actually ruling the north and the south because of his descendants, because of intermarrying when you shouldn't have. And so they are a problem, and that's where we're picking up with chapter 9.
Okay, so chapter 9, in order to understand it, not only do you have to understand the history she gave you, all right, but you got to go back even further. So if you went back to about 1 Kings chapter 19-ish, okay, so right before Elijah died, or he didn't die, he was taken to heaven, right? Right before he was taken to heaven, God gave him kind of a look at, hey, you're the extension of your ministry. Here's what it is. And so in 1 Kings chapter 19, he said this. He said, then the Lord said to him, go return on your way to the wilderness of Damascus. And when you arrive, anoint Hazael king over Syria. Remember, that's the guy we're fighting. All right. Also, you shall anoint Jehu, the son of Nimshi, as king over Israel. Elijah never did it. Elijah never did it. Okay. And Elisha, the son of Shaphat, shall you anoint as prophet in your place. Well, he did do that. Now, so you got to remember, before Elijah goes to heaven, now we got 3 new players. You got Hazael, he's gonna be from Syria. You have Jehu, who should be the new king of the northern kingdom of Israel. And then you have Elisha, who's going to follow Elijah. Now, put all that in your mind. Now let's go back to another story. So 1 Kings chapter 21, Naboth is just a regular dude.
His vineyard.
He's got a vineyard. It's been in his family for generations. And one day Ahab comes along and he says, I want your vineyard. How much you want to sell it for? He said, man, I wouldn't sell it for anything. This has been in my family for generations. I love it. I could never sell it.
And Ahab's never been told no.
Ahab's never been told no, which major red flag.
Problem.
He goes home and he whines to his wife Jezebel, who also has never been told no.
Never.
She's was a princess. She was the worst of the worst. Okay.
Bad girl, the bad girl.
And Vixen. So she decides, hey, you go take a nap. She says, nothing but like a midday nap make you feel better, buddy. You go. Well, while he goes to take a nap, she goes and has Naboth like murdered.
Awful.
And then she takes his vineyard, and Ahab is like high elbows through his new vineyard. Well, Elijah shows up. He said, what have you done? You have lost your mind. He said, God is not going to forget this. God is going to kill you and everybody in y'all's family. He's going to kill everybody. You're all in trouble.
Who's God?
Yeah, Jezebel said, I don't know who you're talking about. Ahab actually repents here, and the Lord spares him. I mean, because like, whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. But the promise was that eventually all of them would die. Okay? It was put off for a little bit, but still going to happen. That happens now. Okay, so Ahab is dead, and his son is reigning in his place. But remember, he just got in a fight with Hazael. Mm-hmm. So he's in another city and he's like recovering. Elisha calls one of his little messenger boys in, a little preacher boy. He said, hey, come here. He said, I want you to take this jar of oil and I want you to run to the barracks in the city, find the general named Jehu. Pour this oil on his head as a sign that you are anointing him to be the king. Remember, Elijah was told to do that, but now it's happening. So chapter 9 fulfills like the deadly prophecies about Ahab. And so this is where it all happens. So here's what happens. Jehu hears that he's going to be the king. And this prophet comes in and he's like, hey, I want to talk to you. He anoints him king. And then the prophet takes off running. And everybody's like, hey, what was that all about? Jehu said, oh, it's nothing. They said, you're lying. What was going on? And he said, well, the prophet, and everybody was like, that guy's crazy, right? He said, well, maybe. But here's what he said. He said, I'm the king. Well, everybody takes off their sports coats and they lay them on the ground and they start proclaiming him king. And he said, hey, don't let anybody leave here spreading that news. He said, because I got to do some things for the Lord. I got to go take out Ahab's family. And Ahab had like 70 sons. This was a pretty big day. So he had to go out and he had to go fight. He was like, hey, let's not let this news get out because that's going to make this job harder.
A lot of enemies.
So Jehu is running. Now, here's what I like about that prophet. Everybody called him crazy, but he just kept telling what God told him to say. People thought Elijah was crazy. They thought Elisha was crazy. They thought this prophet was crazy.
They thought Noah was
crazy. They thought Jesus was crazy. They just kept on preaching.
That's right.
Okay? So just keep on preaching. So
cool to be crazy? Bad takeaway.
Yeah. So the next thing that happens, Jehu shows up where Ahab's son is. He comes out to meet him and he's like, hey, are you here with good news? And he's like, buddy, I got news.
But
it ain't good. So the king turns around to run. Jehu said, well, he Robin Hood. He pulled out that arrow, took him in the back. Yeah, Robin Hood kind of would lick the feathers. Remember, Kevin Costner did that.
And he split the other
he did. So he killed him. And then he took over. And then the next thing he goes, well, I got Ahab's son, one of them. Now I got to go get Jezebel. Now there was a prophecy about Jezebel. Oh, first of all, Ahab's son, when they killed him, they threw him out in the field. Guess the name of the field? Naboth's field.
Stop it.
Yeah.
That's poetic.
It is. And actually it's prophetic because they said that was going to happen. The next prophecy was that Jezebel was going to die and dogs would eat her. It was pretty gross. So Jehu gets to the city. Jezebel's like in a top Rapunzel tower. She's looking down. She's like, what's going on out there, guys?
That's on her.
And Jehu said, hey, today's your day. She said, no, it's not going to happen. And so Jehu he's a general in his chariot. And he said, who up there wants to be on my team? Because here's the deal. If you're a conquering general, if you're not on his team, you're on the bad guy side. It's bad. So he said, who wants to be on my team? And two guys look out the window. Me? And they said, yeah. And he said, hey, throw her on down.
This isn't funny,
This is not funny, but man, throw her on down. They chunked her out the window. Right, Orville?
Yep. And he's the dog.
He ate her. She falls, she dies, and they eventually go inside and have lunch. Again, prophetic. They go out to find her body. It's gone.
It's gone.
I mean,
the dogs had some bones though.
They did. You want to talk about a terrible story. So none of this goes good. Here's what you take away from this. If there's a takeaway. God is going to keep his promises, whether for blessing or for judgment.
And be on his side. How about that?
Yeah, if you're going to pick a team, let's pick the winning team. So we have all of this. Now, listen, you say, well, you're making light of this. Well, maybe.
Or what else do you do?
I mean, yeah. The other side of this is if you know judgment is coming. Did you know that Jezebel was told she was going to die like that 12 years before she died? She had a dozen years to go, God, I probably overstepped a little bit. Would you forgive? Ahab did, and God spared him. Let him live. They didn't kill him just then. In 12 years, Jezebel never said, I probably ought to get that right. She didn't. So God, after a dozen years, you want to say, why was God so mean to... No. He gave her 12 more years to get it right. And then he goes, judgment is here.
After chance.
Chance after chance. And it reminds me, if God is going to keep his promises, and by the way, with God, it's promises made or promises kept. So if we know judgment is on the horizon, why would we not go ahead and kick it into gear and let's try to get some things settled? Jezebel didn't do that. Her son didn't do that. And by the way, everybody died in this thing. Why? Hey, why? The wages of sin is what?
Death.
Sin is everywhere. So you know what? Death is everywhere in the story. So I want to tell you it gets better tomorrow. It does not.
It's real life. It's
Yeah.
true story.
So we'll see you tomorrow, and we'll talk about it then. Bye.
Bye.